was pretty rough. It was, weird for a 15-year-old to process that. It really shaped who I was and who I am. And it was lung cancer.
The two big things that you do in life, you get married and you parent, and nobody teaches you anything about this.
No, exactly. You don't have a clue. Like you're making it up as you go, literally making it up as you go. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Right. And so sometimes you got to focus on like, hey, I just got to be a better friend. Like if I want better friends, I got to be a better friend.
Welcome to What's the Story? My name is Matt Edmondson, and this is a podcast full of stories about faith and courage from everyday people. And today I'm chatting with Brett Curry about what it's like to grow up in a Christian home, only to be faced with the passing of your mum when you're still a teenager. But before we get into that with Brett, one of the things I want to do is give a shout out to past guests and episodes and topics that we have hit on. And I thought it would be great to mention one of our live streams. What does the Bible say about grief? You can check that out. That's available on the website, as well as going deeper than coffee shop friendships. Oh yes, what a great talk that was. You can find these and our entire archive of episodes and live streams on our website for free at www.crowd.church. And whilst you're there, why not sign up for our newsletter? And each week we will email you all of the links along with the notes from today's conversation with Brett. It goes directly to your inbox, totally for free. It's totally amazing. So just sign up to that and you'll get it each and every week. You'll never miss another episode of What's the Story. Amazing. Now, this episode is brought to you by Crowd Online Church. Brett, you know as well as I do, right, that not everybody wants to go to church and not everybody can get to a church building. And this is where online church works super well. It's a safe space to explore the Christian faith. And the thing that I love about Crowd Church is that you get to join in the conversation. They don't just talk at you. So if you've never been to church before, or if you're looking for a new church, check out Crowd Church. The website is www.crowd.church. Or if you've got any questions about the Christian faith or about church, you can email me directly at matt@crowd.church with any of your questions. Awesome. Now, Brett is a seasoned entrepreneur. We met because of our crossovers in the digital space. He's such a legend. You're going to enjoy this conversation. Brett is a husband and a father of 8. You heard me right, 8 kids. He is a basketball coach and still finds time in all of this to host Bible studies in his house while doing all of that. He currently lives in Springfield, Missouri, right in the middle of the country. And apparently, another thing we share in common is we are both fans of the Kansas City Chiefs. So,
yes, go Chiefs.
What can I say? Brett, thanks for coming on the show. Great to have you here. How are you doing?
Matt, just delighted to be here. Super excited. And I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. And I love what you do with this podcast. And so just happy to be a part of it.
Oh, you're a legend. Thanks for coming on. Now, it's fair to say this is the third podcast we have recorded together. So we're becoming quite familiar with each other.
We're getting very acquainted, man. I'm and what's cool, Matt, I will say this. I think I like you more with each episode. So and at least we're keeping it fresh, right? We did like digital and e-commerce and then leadership, and now we're talking faith. So we're keeping it fresh.
Yeah, we are keeping it fresh. Yeah. It's good fun. It's good fun. Some might say we've got a little bromance going on here, Brett. So.
Bromance. I'm not opposed to the bromance. I think there's nothing wrong. It's candlelight a little bit. It's good. So
yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. It's interesting, actually. Totally off topic here, and didn't plan to talk about this, but one of the things that has intrigued me about men in church is some of the men I know have very good friendships with other men, right? And that's actually quite healthy, But we joke about the bromance thing, but the sort of friendships with other men thing is quite a powerful thing. Is that something that you have found? I know we have a mutual friend in Jared Mitchell, and we both rave about him. But do you have close male friendships, and do you find them helpful?
I do have a few good, close guy friends who are also strong in the faith, so that they're believers and they're committed to their families and they're doing good stuff in business or in their profession or whatever. But I will say it's pretty hard to find. And I think one of the trends that's been happening, especially in the church in the US, is that there are less men kind of engaged and serving and committed in church. I don't know why. There are probably some theories and some things out there, but it is harder. It's harder to find that group of guys that you connect with. And for me, I'm a little bit picky in who I hang out with, right? I like talking to anybody, but in terms, and I'm a very social person, and I really like people from diverse walks of life. Like if I want to be really close friends or hang out with somebody, like I'm a little bit picky, so I want to be around someone who's like going in the same direction as me and committed to the same things I'm committed in. And I'm not sitting around and like playing video games all day long. No judgment if you are, but like, dudes that do that, I'm like, I'm probably out. I love you, but I'm probably out. So yeah, I've got a handful of really good friends, and that's perfect for me. So yeah, very grateful for that. I didn't have that early on in my marriage. Like my wife and I got married pretty young, and we didn't have super close friends that were our age and like committed to the faith and growing. But thankfully that's developed. Starting about 15 years ago, we started an in-home Bible study, and it just became some tremendous lifelong friends through that group.
And was that something then you intentionally did when you were in your early 20s, newly married?
Yeah, we did. We intentionally started a life where we just kind of felt, I've always enjoyed teaching and sharing, and I've taught a little bit in youth and preached in like very small capacities and stuff, but I've always enjoyed it. So we decided to host an in-home group. The first group we hosted was kind of rocky. Like it was weird, or we didn't really connect with anybody that was in the group, but we did it, and then that kind of disbanded. And then we had a group that met in our home for 10 years before people kind of started moving and going in their own direction. And to this day, and that was 15 years ago, some of our closest friends. And so, yeah, we just felt called to do it. And then God really blessed it, and it was amazing.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. There's something about, I think, intentionally creating friendships I'm talking about men now, but there's something about men intentionally creating friendships with other men who are able to encourage you in your faith that is insanely life-giving, right?
Yep.
And I think if you're isolated from that's actually quite a hard road to walk.
It is. And I've heard people say, the Bible even says like, bad company corrupts good character, right? Like who you're around influences you. I've heard other people say that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, which I spend a lot of time with kids. So I don't know what that means.
It means you're young at heart. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's true. Like who you're around impacts the way you think and act. Like if you're around people that, just to give a non-spiritual example, like if you're around people that are active and work out and eat healthy and stuff, you're probably going to do that, right? If you're around people that don't and they're sedentary, you'll probably gravitate towards that too. So the people you're around, and I think for guys, it's harder potentially to find committed, faith-filled, good dads, good husbands, like just good examples that we can hang with. It's more difficult. So you got to be intentional. You got to really try to make it happen.
You have, and you've got to put yourself out there as well, right? You've got, I think you've got to be the friend that you want to be. And I think sometimes you have to be that first, if that makes sense. A lot of people
totally
are like, well, I invited somebody around for dinner once and they said no. So why? And I've not got any friends. I'm like, come on, let's have a little
try, man.
Yeah.
Just gotta keep trying. And yeah, like for us, the first in-home group, we felt called to host an in-home group. And the first one was like, we're not even enjoying this. Like this isn't even very good. And so, but we kept doing it and got better at leading and hosting and stuff like that. And then that group kind of naturally dissolved. Then we started another group later, and it was beautiful. It was amazing, And so actually what's really interesting, we, this past Sunday at church, our pastor was talking about this principle that you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Right. And so sometimes you got to focus on like, hey, I just got to be a better friend. Like if I want better friends, I got to be a better friend, right? If I want to be around people that are going places, like I need to work on myself too.
Yeah.
And then, put yourself there. Totally agree.
Yeah. Fantastic. So there you go. Freebie for any listener. Develop your friendships, your same-sex friendships that are life-giving is just a brilliant thing to do. So you mentioned that you got married quite young. And just rewind a little bit before that. Let's start at the beginning. How did you sort of wind up as a Christian? Was it sort of pre-marriage or post-marriage?
Yeah, it was pre-marriage for sure. So my parents really started following Christ, like became committed to the faith when I was about 3. So
Oh, wow.
really nobody on either side of the family was really committed to anything, just kind of doing whatever. And my dad's younger brother like got radically transformed, right? Spiritual awakening, got saved from a life of crime and craziness, right?
Oh,
and
wow.
he became a preacher, right? So like went from drug addict to preacher, like really radical transformation.
This was your uncle?
This is my uncle.
Yeah.
So then over time, he was like, sharing the faith with other people. And eventually my dad is like, okay, this is real. Like I want this. And so I was about 3 when that happened, when my dad, became a man of faith. And so I grew up hearing about Jesus. Right. And so at a young age, I was into it. I was like, this is cool. This makes sense. I'm committing to this. I think like most people then started exploring and wondering and doubting, as I got into my young teenage years and like, what am I thinking? What do I believe about all this? And then it was really through a process of my mom getting sick with cancer and then passing away when I was 15 that like God really, I feel like God spoke to me, not audibly, but just like in my heart, like, and drew me to him. And then oddly enough, the same uncle that I referenced before, I went to stay with them for a while after my mom passed, and just a quality example, man. And I saw something in him. I saw this confidence and this purpose and this peace. And I was like, I know why he's got that. That's Jesus, right? Like I know that's why he's got it. And so that's when it got real for me, when I was like, all right, I'm in on this, right? I'm going to start like reading scripture and see what God has to say about life. Like what does God have to say about me? What does God have to say about life? I'm going to pray. And so God really did a work there. So it was kind of my younger teenage years, like junior, senior year of high school is when things got real for me. I grew up knowing faith, for sure, but that's when things got very real for me.
So I've just pulling back on some of the things you talked about there, if I can. You talked about your mum passing away from cancer when you were a teenager. Do you mind if I ask what kind of cancer?
Yeah, it was lung cancer. Yeah. Wow. So she, never a smoker, but people in her family were, and so don't know, but this was the early to mid 90s. So she passed away in 95. And, so a little less advanced. When they found it, it was pretty advanced. It was like stage 4, pretty gnarly at that time. So when they discovered it, she battled it for 16 months. But it was a pretty rough 16 months. She showed tremendous strength, just like kept the faith, was just encouraging the people, like encouraging people that came and visited her. It was truly amazing to watch the grace that she had through that process. It was pretty rough. It was weird for a 15-year-old to process that, and so it really shaped who I was and who I am, and it was lung cancer.
So in the UK, around that sort of age, a sort of 15, 16-year-old, you're taking high school exams, right? It's quite a key time. I suppose every year is quite a key time in your development, but that is particularly key where your education is concerned. I don't know if it's the same in the States, but did that derail you in any way?
It didn't derail me as far as school goes. That was something that I always did pretty well at. It kind of, I found out, or she was diagnosed as I was leaving what we would call junior high or middle school or whatever. And going into high school, that's where we found out she had cancer. And then it was, about 16 months later. So actually it was the summer before my sophomore year. Yeah. And so it's before my second year of high school. And so, no, it didn't really derail school. That just, I don't know, this was always kind of, I just did it, but it shifted my thinking for sure. Still like this awkward kid that hoped to impress girls and make people laugh and be popular and stuff. But I also stopped caring about some things, right? Where just everything in perspective when you're dealing with life and death, and you're not as worried about people don't like my shoes or something. I don't know. I matured very quickly in some areas, and sometimes I'm still a goofball, but it shifted things big time. But it didn't impact school. I think I actually probably just did more stuff, like my dad was busy and my sisters had moved out. I'm the youngest of 3. So just me and my dad. And so I was like, well, I'll just be busy, So I played sports, stayed after school, stuff like that. So So no, education was fine, but it definitely, I mean, completely upends life and what's normal, you know?
Yeah, no, I imagine it does. Jeepers. So it's interesting to hear you talk about how when this happened, it kind of cemented your faith, because I hear a lot of stories of people going, well, why did God let this happen? And because something bad happened, it derails their faith slightly.
Yeah.
But it seems to have had the opposite effect on you. How am I reading that right?
You're totally reading that right. And I'm super grateful for it. And I don't know that I can fully explain why. There's even some people in my family that I think kind of ran from the faith or ran to other things because of the tragedy and the trauma there. But
yeah,
all I can say, and I've got another really close friend of mine, who's actually a lot like Jared Mitchell, oddly enough, but he's not. His name's David. But he lost his mom when he was 16. So like similar stories, but we met later in life. But he said the same thing, where after my mom passed, I felt God's grace. I don't know like how to really describe it other than I sensed his presence. Like he was just saying, it's going to be okay. Right. Like I just, in my spirit felt him speaking and felt that he was real. And so I was like, okay, this is going to be okay. Right.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I sensed that he was doing something. And then kind of the influence of my uncle and a few other key people kind of drove me to, all right, I'm going to get serious about this, right? I'm going to actually dig in and look and see, what does God say about life, and what does God say about being right with him. But as I started reading scripture and praying, I was like, this is actually pretty cool. There's a lot of power here. There's a lot of power here. There's a lot of encouragement, a lot of life giving here. And so yeah, that tragedy, that trauma caused me to go deeper in my faith rather than to run from it. And I don't fully know why, other than I sensed God's grace and there was great influences around me that thankfully I paid attention to.
Wow. And how was your dad throughout this whole process?
That's good. So my dad's always been like Mr. Consistent, right? So just like hard work, never takes a sick day in 20 some years, of work. He's always been more in like the trades or manual labor. And I've always been like terrible working with my hands. So I'm a digital marketer. My dad's was a mechanic and now kind of does maintenance stuff. Mostly retired now, but he was strong in the faith as well. I don't know how I would have dealt with it. Like losing a parent's really tough. Losing a spouse, man, I don't even know. I don't know what to do there. Like my mom and my dad were really close, and so that was traumatic. And so watching him was difficult. I didn't really know how to process things as a 15-year-old. He got remarried relatively quickly afterwards, which was kind of tough. That added some complexity to what was going on. That actually was really rough for a while, but got way better. God again showed up and did great things kind of in this new family unit that formed. But definitely stay committed to the faith, no doubt. But I know he struggled, right? I know he struggled, which who wouldn't? Like you lose a spouse of 20, what was it at the time? 25 years or something. I don't know. It was a long time. And so he struggled, but remained strong and steady for the most part. So was grateful for that influence for sure.
Oh, wow. Well, so then your dad goes on and remarries, which introduces another level of complexity, I assume, to the whole family dynamic.
Dude, yeah. That was weird, actually. It was really because who he remarried was no one like my mom, like totally different. And so she's an awesome lady. We're actually really close to this day. They're not together still. So he remarried a lady like the polar opposite of my mom, which was super difficult for me. We really butted heads like hardcore for a while. But again, I had some people who encouraged me like, hey, just you gotta show kindness and show grace. And so I started praying for this new, as a 16-year-old or whatever, I started praying for this new family unit, right? And I think probably God changed me more than he changed like the family unit, but things.
It's funny how that works, right?
Yeah, like I'm like praying for like fix this, like I think it was probably God changing me. But it was good. And so like now he's my ex stepbrother and my ex stepmom, because they're no longer together, but they're like still super, super close. Like my kids still call her grandma, and they still hang out. So it's like God did a beautiful thing there too. But it was rough for a while. Rough on my sisters, rather half was rough on them. created some tension in relationships and stuff. So yeah, it was a little messy for a while, but again, thankful that God can be that. He works in messy situations, so
it's almost like his specialism. It feels like
it is. Yeah. Like taking brokenness, taking messiness, taking what's dead and making it alive again. That's what God does. And so that's what he did there. And I'm super grateful that it happened.
Yeah. So this is when you're sort of 16, 17. So at what point do you meet the future Mrs. Curry?
Yeah. So that it was interesting. We're in the same youth group, right? I saw her. I thought, man, that Britney Chambers is pretty cute. But I was at like I said, I was at a different stage, right? I'd gone through this trauma. I feel like I became an adult, even though I totally wasn't in a lot of ways. But I wasn't really into the youth group. I was like, some youth stuff is silly. So I just wanted to go learn. And I was going deep on studying stuff. So I went to adult classes, which seems a little pretentious now. But I don't know. I just didn't want to go to youth group. So we didn't really connect, but I saw her and she was way cute. But then I actually met her dad. So I started volunteering and I started serving in this ministry that kind of served underprivileged kids and underprivileged families. And so this is kind of an odd thing now looking at 2022 versus this was in the late 90s. But I would go as a teenager with some other people. We would go to parks and play basketball and football and meet kids in rougher parts of our city. And then say, hey, kids, would you like to go to a one-day camp and, hear the gospel? And there's all this fun stuff. And then I would go to, if they said yes, then I would, walk with them to their house and talk to their parents. It was the weirdest thing now. We would talk to parents. I'd be like, hey, we'll come pick your kids up and they'll be gone for a Saturday. People would just be signing the forms and be like, yeah, just get the kids out of here.
Anyway, different time now, isn't it? Different time.
It's a different time now where I'm like, this is creepy. I'm going to just meeting kids at the park. I don't know. Anyway, but it worked. And a lot of kids had a great time. It was all free for them. They get to, petting zoo and they got to hear encouragement. It was awesome. But anyway, so through that, I met Brittany's dad. So we were working together, serving together, and just an awesome guy, awesome leader, connected. He really liked me. So he was like, this is a pretty cool guy. So then Brittany volunteers to be on the team. So I was 18, 19. I'm leading a team. And she volunteers to be on my team. So I'm like, okay, cool. But she has a boyfriend. So I'm like, dang. I remember my dad being like, hey, what do you think about that Britney Chambers? They're like, I can't talk to Britney. She's on my team and she's got a boyfriend. Anyway. But thankfully, Matt, that didn't last. That boyfriend went away and so we started hanging out, and I think her parents were encouraging it, which that worked in my favor. But we started serving together, started hanging out. When she was basically 17, I was almost 19, and then got married a year and a half later. So she turned 19 on her honeymoon, which is just crazy.
Wow,
I was
so
20.
young, man. Yeah,
it's so young. I've got 2 kids now that age. I'm like, I can't picture it. What I think, and they're awesome. They're going to be fantastic, young adults, already are young adults. But again, I think it was she was more mature. I feel like because of my life, I was just I don't know. I was I'm ready to be an adult. Let's do this thing. Let's go, Yeah. And so we got to grow up together and make all kinds of financial mistakes and other things together, which looking back was very valuable. But yeah, got married super young and then just decided, hey, let's have almost a dozen kids. And so anyway, but yeah, we did ministry together for a long time in the early days. And so that helped kind of solidify that relationship too.
I remember when I was at uni, some friends of mine got married at university. Wonderful people, wonderful people. And, I remember at the time thinking, this is so cool that they found, their life partner. I didn't get married until I was in my mid-20s, but they were in their early 20s. They were getting married, and I was pleased for them. And then I was talking to someone about this the other day. My son is currently that age that we're getting married. And you're like, oh, I don't quite know that this is quite a wise thing anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. So we got married, before my junior year of university. And then we actually had our first kid. We had Nate, who's our oldest, or Nathan, So they're like my graduation pictures. I'm holding Nathan, right? Like
wow.
So I was working full time, supporting the family, doing the college thing or university thing. And so, yeah, it was a unique road. Like I wouldn't recommend it for most people. I think it's probably not a good idea for most people, but for us, like we were ready. It was right. Like I wouldn't change anything. But yeah, dude, we were babies ourselves, no doubt.
That's crazy. So, well, this is what, 22 years ago, isn't it? Somewhere around there. I think you're 2 years behind me in marriage years. Yeah. And so you and Britney have been married 22 years. Brett and Britney. Yeah. And how's that been? Has it been 22 years of unmitigated bliss, or have you had the odd hiccup? I mean, you've got 8 kids, so there's something's obviously happened in the middle.
Yeah, it was really interesting. Brittany and I, we've always had a really close relationship. I've always told her, and this is true. Like, I'd rather hang out with her than almost anybody else. Like, there's this friendship component, and there's like strong attraction. Like, I'm so crazy about her. I think she's beautiful, and she feels the same about me. And so, like that core has always been there. Interestingly enough, like through the early days when like first business that we started was up and down, good years, some traumatic years, that never really caused strain between us. It was odd, actually. Like we didn't really fight about money. We talked about it and we worked through it, and we were discouraged by a lot of things, but didn't really fight about money. We started having kids. We actually agreed on a lot of things related to little kids, like through the younger age and toddler and stuff. We'd have little spats. We'd fight about little things, but it was actually not anything very major. Interestingly enough, we didn't really have like any major fights until we started having teenagers. And, so then teenagers are weird, man. If anybody, well, a lot of people know, I know, but if you got younger kids, just hang on. Like I remember, you don't borrow trouble. Don't borrow trouble from your future self. But I remember people saying, we had little kids, they're like, don't just enjoy this time because you have big kids, you have big problems, and okay, whatever. I'm changing like 15 diapers a day here. I don't think it's getting more challenging, but actually my wife is probably changing more diapers than me, but started having teenagers, and we found we weren't agreeing. We just weren't agreeing on like when I was a teenager, and again, different life scenario. My mom passed, just me and my dad. Like my dad was just like, you're kind of in charge of yourself, right? And still great influence. Like he was not an absentee father at all, but he's like, just do your thing, And where Britney's family was really structured, and so I lean more towards just do your thing, and she's very structured. And so we fought a decent amount actually about teenagers, and had a real, never to the point like we've always been super committed to each other, so there's never a question about, well, this just isn't going to work. But we were fighting a lot. And so this is something I recommend for everybody now, even if you're not in a stage of fighting. We started seeing a counselor. So we found a Christian counselor, a lady who was recommended to us from other people who's like really strong in the faith and really committed to marriages. Like I think you can get into trouble by going to the wrong counselor,
Yeah, you can.
Like, well, maybe you guys just aren't compatible. Find someone else. So this counselor was awesome, and she helped really transform the way we communicated about difficult things. And so that was transformational for us.
Yeah.
My wife actually still sees this counselor, just talking through like personal growth and stuff, which is amazing. We didn't go all that long. It was maybe 6 to 8 months, or it was a year. Kind of bad with dates, but it was fantastic. And so now, so we really worked through that period. And now that our 2 oldest are kind of, one has got a career, our oldest son, Nate's 20, he's got a career now. And then our 18, almost 19-year-old daughter's at university. And so I'm turning British here at university.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I had noticed. Yeah.
She went away to college. That's weird. That's what I say here. But she's doing fantastic. And so we're kind of in this smooth space where we're super busy, but we're aligned, right? And functioning pretty well as parents. And so now it's like, how do we deal with the busyness? How do we carve out time for each other? How do we make sure we're giving it our all to both our teenagers and our young people? Because we got from 20 down to 6 as far as kids. So how do we show up for them? And so, but yeah, it's been an amazing road. I couldn't imagine doing this with anybody else. I don't think anybody else could handle it. Very few people could, other than her. And so yeah, that's kind of the quick-ish story.
So who decided to do counseling? Was that Britney's idea or was that your idea?
It was her idea. It was, yeah. I was fully supportive of it though. I was not like I don't need no counseling. I was fully supportive of it, but she had talked to some friends who were seeing this counselor like on a one-on-one basis. And so she met with, her name's Nicole, but she met with Nicole, the counselor, and just brought up a few things. I think she just said, hey, like, do you do couples counseling? And she did. And so, but as she mentioned, I was like, hey, all for it. Like, if this is going to help us, it's going to make it better, let's do it. And so it was very valuable. And now I it's one of those things where, I like sports. We're all in favor of having a coach, right? Or even seeing a specialist, like help me with my golf swing, or help me get my basketball shot better, or help me with my workout technique. But we're not very willing to do that on the mental or emotional side, right? Like, help me relate better to my spouse. Help me communicate about difficult things better. Like, I don't need that, right? Got the Bible. I'll just read that, which is an amazing tool. Like, it is an amazing tool, but a lot of times we need some guidance.
We do. Help. Yeah.
So,
no, I'd agree. It's interesting, isn't it? The two big things that you do in life: you get married and you parent, and nobody teaches you anything about this.
No, exactly. You don't have a clue. Like, you're making it up as you go, literally making it up as you go. And I think there's always going to be an element of that, right? Because you can't fully be prepared until you get out there to start doing it. But I think we need more good mentors and examples. I think that's what the church is about, right? When the church is healthy, that's what it's about. But then I think also, if you can, like, see, getting even professional help at times can be really valuable too.
Yeah, it's interesting actually. Dave Conley, who has been on the podcast, he was also the founding pastor of the church that I go to. And Dave and I have been close friends for 30 years. I mean, the man is an absolute legend. But he is further on in the faith than me. So he's kind of a sort of a dad figure, slow stroke, sort of best mate stroke. Do you know what I mean? He's just a bloke who's just really cool to hang out with. And I was talking to him about this whole marriage counseling thing, because obviously as he has pastored the church and as I pastor a church, you do get asked a lot of questions by married couples as the pastor. Yeah. And he made this really interesting comment. He said, what's interesting is when you do counseling with couples who are in crisis, if they're in the church, what can happen is they can drift away after the counseling, because as the pastor, you learn so much about them as a couple. There's something about them feeling a little bit insecure that actually you know quite a lot of intimate details about them. And so they sort of slowly drift out of the church. And he said, it's really interesting how many couples come to you for counseling, but end up leaving the church. So there is this sort of argument for saying, go see an independent marriage counselor, right? Rather than your church pastor.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of merit there. I think, something that's pretty common in the United States. I'm not sure if it's popular elsewhere, but like pre-marriage counseling. So, you're about to get married, and so you meet with a pastor for a while. I think that's like totally cool. Do that with your pastor, because that's pretty safe stuff. But I could totally see that. I think some pastors are really equipped for the heavy stuff to get into some of the more sticky details. But I think there's some value in keeping some things private and going to see that professional. Again, I think you've got to choose wisely, right? It's got to be someone that you agree with their stance on the faith. Like, if you're going to really get into deep stuff. And obviously, I think there's wisdom to be had outside of the faith too. I read non-Christian books. I talk to non-Christian people all the time. That's really valuable. But I think when you're looking at something like marriage, you just want to make sure you're getting counseling from someone that's got the view of marriage that you have.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Where they're not going to tell you just to hit the eject button,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Go see a professional at times, maybe not just your pastor.
Yeah. No, very, very fun. So what was? I mean, it was obviously a while ago, but and you went to see them to help sort of learn how to communicate with your wife under difficulty. What were some of the takeaways for you?
Yeah. So, one of the things that she had us both do that was very personal, but then that translated into the way we communicate and relate to each other is, there's a name for this process. I'm drawing a blank now, but basically, process. You take 21 days to work on this. Take a blank sheet of paper because it's good to just like write things on paper. We talked about this in one of the other podcasts, right? We're so digital. It's kind of nice to write on paper on occasion, but take a piece of paper on the left-hand side. You write, hey, these are the things I struggle with about myself. Like I'm not enough, right? I'm not smart enough. I'm not smart enough to run a business and parent 8 kids, and I don't have enough energy to coach basketball, and I'm not, whatever. And I'm fearful about this. You write those things down. And then on the right side, you write what is the truth, right? What is the truth in Scripture that God gives us that helps with that, right? So one of the scriptures that I've always loved is 2 Peter, that we've been given everything we need for life and godliness, right? So sure, I'm maybe not enough on my own, but like God's given me everything I need. So God has called me to do these things, called me to be a dad of 8 kids, and called me to be in this business. All these things, like God's going to equip me. God's going to give me life, right? And then like fearful about certain things, and good to talk about. Hey, I'm actually fearful about this. God's not giving us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind, right? And so being able to work through those things and kind of renewing your mind, so that when those negative thoughts pop up, or thoughts that are not true pop up, you can balance it with truth. So that was one of the most powerful things we did. It was individual, but we both did it because we both found that, hey, these negative things we're wrestling with, they clash with each other. And so we start getting healthy mentally on our own, and we relate and communicate better. I think it was also important. Have you ever taken the Enneagram test, Matt? Do you know Enneagram?
I know what it is. I've never actually done it.
Yeah. So I am a big fan. I don't think you can, put all your trust in a personality test, or it's not everything, but it's like, it's a data point, and it's informative, and it can help you better relate, help you better understand yourself, help you better relate. Anyway, I'm a 3 on the Enneagram, which means I'm an achiever, right? So I'm an achiever and a performer. So I got to be achieving things. My wife is a 1, and she is like rule oriented and process oriented. And so there are times when we really clash, right? I'm like not a rule keeper. So I can feel like she's judging me. You can get the sense that I don't care, right? So like we as we start having these conversations, we're like, okay, when you say these things, I get triggered and I feel judged. When I do these things, you get triggered and you feel like I don't care. So, we're able like to walk through some of those things and really just kind of get tools on how we communicate better about those tricky things. Like, hey, as we had this experience, as we were talking through this, I really felt upset. I really felt a little bit angry or sad. I was sad because I felt like we weren't connected, So like you having tools to talk through without like judging, without saying like, oh, remember when you totally screwed up the other day? Like none of that. Just like, hey, when we did this, like it hurt, and here's why, and so that was really valuable as well.
Yeah. No, fantastic. And what's been your big, I mean, you've got 8 kids, right? So you know a thing or two about parenting. If you could go back and have a conversation with your 20-year-old self, your wife's pregnant with Nate, what would be the one piece of advice you'd give yourself about parenting?
Yeah, I think the thing that I've shared with a few other parents and that I would want to keep in mind is, as parents, we have immense influence, incredible influence, maybe the most influence out of anybody else right on the planet. We have a ton of influence. We don't have a lot of control at the end of the day. You can't really control things. Kids will be their own person. Whether they just kind of fake it around you and then they're their real self later, or they're one way at home, different way at school, like they are going to be who they are, right? But you can influence them greatly. You can give them confidence and strength, and you can lead them to the faith, right? That like, hey, this is like, God is good. God is good. God is awesome. Like we have all this influence, but we start trying to control too much. And often bad things happen, right? So limited control. I think I would have, panicked a little less with our first, right? And we've actually had to apologize to Nate, who's our oldest, who's a fantastic kid. He's got a sales job. He's crushing. He's just doing so good. But a few times we've had to apologize. We're like, stop being the oldest, man. Stop being the first, because parents are figuring it out. We're just, we're making it up as we go. We're making a lot of mistakes with you. So forgive us for that. But I like that. Like we have a lot of influence, not as much control. Every kid is going to be different, right? Every kid is going to be radically different. Even in the same house, they're going to be different. And that's a good thing. And then I think really, if kids know you love them and you support them and you're for them, that's what they need more than anything else, right? So obviously we're parents, right? We're not just friends, although I think that does develop. We're parents. So like we got to help make decisions when they're little. We're making decisions for them and things like that. We got to say no to things and, be the bad guy on occasion. We have to parent. But they need to know that like we're for them and we're in their corner. And, I also think we need to know that they really belong to God, right? Ultimately, our kids are God's, not ours. So we've been given this responsibility to train them and to raise them, but really belong to us, right?
Yeah.
And so that should shift the picture just a little bit too.
Fantastic. Brett, as we sort of draw near to an end, because I'm aware of time, one of the questions I like to ask people is, what's your one message? What's the one thing that you're really passionate about? What would your ends be?
Yeah, this is a tough question because there's, I found like when I'm leading Bible studies, I'll be like, oh, this is one of my favorite scriptures. But like, I'll say it every week. It's like, okay, well, you say that every time you open your mouth. But so that's tough. But one of my favorite messages, and I've used this with youth groups and with my kids and with adults. And again, this is a Brit, right? Which is kind of for this podcast, but I say this and it's all Americans as well. But C.S. Lewis said, the more we give ourselves over to God, the more truly ourselves we become, because he made us, right? He invented it. He created us. And I think there's this that I don't want to surrender to God, right? I want to be my own person. I want to be me. And I definitely felt this in my own life when I was a teenager and I started just committing my ways to God, right? And then giving more of my life to him. I had the freedom to be funny. I feel like my uniqueness came out a little bit, like God kind of stoking that and fanning that flame, where before I didn't really know who I should be. And part of that was because I was like junior high kids, what do we know anyway, right? So there's part of that was the age, but I really struggled with identity and who am I? As I started giving myself over to the Lord, though, it was like he started to bring out this uniqueness and I could be me. And so I think that's one of those things that ties back to the message that God is good, right? In the midst of trauma, in the midst of success, in the midst of marital bliss or marital trauma, like God is good. And I think that, that ties into that as well. So that would kind of be the message that I would lean into the most, I think.
Wow. So you're quoting C.S. Lewis, who is British. You've changed your vernacular. You're going to call your daughter later and say, how's university going? She's going to go, Dad, what are you talking about?
Exactly. Oh man. Yeah. We actually do British. We talk in British accents. The daughter who is at university, we talk in British accents on occasion. And
I would like to hear the British accent.
Well, it's pretty good. We like to talk British every now and then. All the faith and encouragement. That's probably horrible. You're British. You are like
no, that was pretty good actually. You don't hear many Americans doing British accents. You hear a lot of British people doing American accents.
I've got a little bit of skill, and we can unpack that anyway. So we have problems. I feel so much smarter when I talk in a British accent. So
is that how it works?
You got to unpack it. Yeah.
It's funny, Brett, because I used to live in North Carolina when I was 18.
Wow.
Yeah. That's actually where I became a Christian. Yeah, but that's a story for another podcast. But I used to live in North Carolina when I was 18, and this was pre-internet. So I just went, we just about had a phone and a fax machine back then, right? And because I talked with a British accent, you almost became like a little micro celebrity in that sort of community. Do you know what I mean? Because you're in.
You're in. Hear you talk. Could you just read something read the paper or something so we can hear you? Yeah.
I honestly, the amount of times people would say, "Can you just say ... Like, how do you? Do you know what I mean? Can you just say this phrase or this word? And you're like, okay, say
aluminium. Yeah.
Aluminium. Vase and vitamins. And so we would, and you know what? It was a beautiful thing. Whenever I'd go into a shop in North Carolina, I would overemphasize the Britishness of my accent.
You got to dial it up. You got to dial it up. Yeah, people ate it up. They loved it, I'm sure.
Oh, mate, the amount of free stuff I got was unbelievable.
Give that British guy some free stuff. He's got to be smart. He's got to be smarter than all of us. Yeah.
Oh, mate, it was a great time, and let me tell you, I remember getting pulled over by the police for driving slightly too fast because we had slightly faster speed limits, and given the police, I shouldn't say this on a Christian podcast, but I gave the police officer my driver's license when he asked for it, and in England that wasn't a little photo ID. It is now, but at the time it wasn't. It was a big old piece of paper. And I remember giving him my driver's license, and he's like, what do I do with this? And I'm like, officer, I wish I could help you. Ask, what do you want to know? Maybe I could help. And he was like, and it was just brilliant. And he was like, oh, you're from England? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I just don't drive as fast. I said, okay, I'll try it. We're on the wrong side of the road, officer. It's great. Brilliant. Brett, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Listen, if people want to connect with you, if they want to reach out, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on Facebook. Brett Curry on Facebook. I don't remember what the handle is. I'm on LinkedIn. So if you're a professional, I'm easy to find on LinkedIn. And then also, we've talked about this now a few times. I've even talked to my assistant about this. We're planning it. We got plans in motion. Going to be on Twitter. You find me on Twitter. Also happy if you got like a faith-based question or whatever, email me, brett@omgcommerce.com. And love to connect.
Yeah, fantastic. I have been watching Twitter to see if you're back on.
Haven't done anything yet. No. I'm planning. I'm just planning. I'm just getting my ducks in a row, getting ready.
Getting my ducks in a row. I've done like 2 or 3 tweets. I tweeted Michael Hyatt the other day, asked him a question. He got in touch, and I tweeted an article from the Times about Formula One. So I'm 2 tweets in front. So
you jumped out into the lead here. So I've got some catch up to do. Yeah. I realized my Twitter picture is like 8 years old, and my background's like a picture I took of New York City from 15 years ago. Like I got a little bit of work to do, but I'm going to get there.
Yeah, catch up. Just whenever you're back on, make me your first tweet. That's all I ask.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Thanks, man.
It's been brilliant. Thanks, Brett. Listen, we will link obviously to Brett's info in the show notes, which you can get along for free, along with a transcript and notes at Crowd Church. If there are any topics that we've talked about today, from parenting to the passing of a parent to cancer, and you would like to talk to somebody, you can get in touch with us at Crowd Church. We would love to hear from you. All the contact information is at www.crowd.church. There are actually live streams which we have done on grief. We have done What Does the Bible Say About Cancer with Annie Udden. In fact, we've done a What's the Story podcast where we deep dive into that. In the live stream, we talked with cancer surgeons and specialists and all kinds of stuff. So if you are struggling with some of those stuff, we've got some great resources on the website which you can get a hold of. We've got talks about parenting, granted, not from anyone with as much experience as Brett or Britney, but maybe next time. All I like to say, all of that information's at crowd.church. So there you go. Remember to check out the website. Remember that we're just a digital church. We're on a quest to discover how Jesus helps us live a more meaningful life. We are a community, a space to explore the Christian faith, and a place where you can contribute and grow. And you are welcome at Crowd Church. And if you're in Springfield, Missouri, what church do you go to, Brett?
So we attend Life Church, which so you can go to life.church. It's a multi-location church pastored by Craig Groeschel, who's an amazing leader.
Yeah, great guy.
We're one of like 42 campuses, 43, something like that.
Oh, wow.
But some great free resources too, like free resources if you're leading a small group or a church. Mm-hmm. Like you basically get all of Life Church resources for free. They just give them away. And so Life Church, it's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's one of the most generous churches that I know.
I think
all
so.
The stuff they get, it's unreal what the guys are doing. It's brilliant, really, really good.
And actually, the YouVersion Bible app that's like half a billion downloads. Life Church created that. Like, so there's 100 people on staff just working on the Bible app. Of course, it's all free, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, it's fantastic. So if you're in that area, do check out Life Church. And in fact, they do online church services as well. So do check those out. Be sure to subscribe to What's the Story wherever you get your podcast from, because we've got some great conversations lined up and I don't want you to miss any of them, obviously. And in case no one has told you yet today, let me press this button here. No, wrong button. Let me press that button. There we go. In case no one's told you today, you are awesome. Yes, you are. It's just a burden we all have to bear. You know, God created us. He fearfully and wonderfully made, the Bible says. So translate that in the Message. I guess it will say you're awesome. It's just a burden we have to bear. So there you go. What's the Story is produced by Crowd Online Church. You can find their entire archive of episodes on your favorite podcast app. The team that makes this show possible is Sadaf Bainon, George McQuaig, Josh Catch, Paula Stella Robin, and Tim Johnson. Our theme song was written by Josh Edmondson. And if you would like to read the transcript or show notes, as I mentioned, head over to our website. You should know by now, www.crowd.church, where you can also sign up for the weekly newsletter and get all of this good stuff directly to your inbox, totally free, totally amazing. So that's it from me. That's it from Brett. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a fantastic week. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.